Disclaimer, the views and opinions in this video are mine alone. You may or may not agree. Please enjoy the video.
Hello everybody, Loki Magic's another day, another video, but when it comes to Raid Shadow Legends, we have a lot of champions, and some champions aren't just that good, they just suck, right? So this is my top 5 champions in this game, well top 5 legendaries to be precise, in this game that I just feel like, man, what are you doing? So let's go, let's check it out. Alright, so let's talk about 5 bad legendary champions. Now, these 5 legendary champions are actually in my account. I did pull these, and I know the feeling, because when you pull a legendary finally, and the one you don't want pops up, oh man. No. Pops up. Oh man, it is so sad, right? I get it, I know, man. So, you know, I figure I'll make this video and kind of explain why these 5 champions are kind of bad. Then, you know, you could use this information also to not use these kind of champions when you're building your team for certain content in the game, right? And also, I do want to say, just because they're bad and they're on this list doesn't mean you should feed them or throw them away, because they might get, you know, buffed later, and they are doing things with dupes. So always keep your legendary champions no matter what. Never feed your Legos. You want to keep those because you never know what's in store in the future, right? So hold on to these champions, and yeah, let's get into the video.
Perfect.
Alright, so let's talk about this champion right here. Now this champion is right on that line of being decent and bad, because he does have some use cases. He's not a really bad champion, but he's also really not that good at all. So let's check him out, right? His A1 attacks 2 enemies at random. Each hit has a 35% chance of placing decreased speed. So let's see, let's say you want to hit this guy. He'll hit the first guy you pick, but the second hit is random, right? So I don't like having that random type of ability built in a champion's kit. I'd rather have reliability and pick what I want. So I don't like his A1 too much, but you know, it's not a horrible A1. But his A2 attacks all enemies, fills this champion's turn meter by 20% of each enemy under decreased speed. Now I see what they're trying to do, right? They want the champion to go really fast, attack, still turn meter, increase his turn meter, and he's able to go again and again. So maybe you put relentless on him, etc., and he can hit multiple times, right? But the thing about that is that these kind of champions are hard to work with, because they're going to cycle out of the buffs you put on them. You put on counter, increase defense, whatever, they're going to cycle out of it so fast because they're taking too many turns, and that's if these enemies are under decreased speed. So there's a lot of randomness and scenarios and, you know, prerequisites for this champion to be successful. So it kind of sucks, but his one ability that may be good and may be what you need is his A3, which is attacks one enemy and steals the target's turn meter. So let's say you're stuck on spiders, he might be the guy you need to get through spiders. So that's like his only thing. But outside of that, he's not going to be that good in dragons. He's not going to be good in any other areas, you know, Fire Knight, Ice Golem, Clan Boss. He's not going to bring anything to the table. There are far better choices out there in every single content in this game outside of him. So that's why he is number 5. We still love you, but I don't know, man. This dude's kind of garbage. So let's move on to number 4.
Perfect.
Alright, next up is Tila. Now, overall, she's not a bad champion. It's just that for a legendary, she needs to bring a little bit more bite. Like, you know, we got Madame Cerise, man. She could steal buffs, she could remove buffs, she could put fear on. Madame Cerise does way more than this champion right here. And Tila's a legendary. And what does she really bring to the table? I mean, her A1, yes, attacks one enemy. That's cool, but it does still, you know, random buffs from enemies. So for Clan Boss, it'll be this increased attack. Boom, she stole it. That's not bad at all. That's actually okay, right? Put her with a counter attack champion, but it's a very simple A1, doesn't really bring a lot to the table outside of that. Yes, you could use it for magic keep. It'll be very helpful for that shield, but accumulatively throughout her kit, it's very weak. Like, yes, her A2 attacks one enemy, HP burn, continues heal on all allies. So that's not really that bad, right? So her best use case scenario is probably for Clan Boss, but just attacking one time, doing HP burn, you know, for me, I just feel like that's not a lot to bring to the table. There's better champions out there that does a lot more attacks more often, applies HP burn, and you know, it's just her kit is just kind of soft. And her lastly, her A3 attacks all enemies, has an 85% chance of placing leech, and heal reduction, which could be kind of good for Fire Knight with that heal reduction. But the thing though is that she only attacks once. So for Fire Knight, she kind of falls short, right? So overall, like I kind of said, her kit is just kind of weak. So not a bad champion, probably best in clan boss, but for a legendary, she needs a little bit more fire, right? She needs a little bit more bite. So that's why she comes in at number 4.
Perfect.
All right, so coming in at number 3 is Errol or Uncle Earl. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but this is number 3 because, okay, now he's not a bad champion. I keep saying that for all these champions because I do feel bad, and you could use any champion anywhere if you really wanted to. You can make it work, but we're talking, these are the legendaries, right? And this legendary here attacks one enemy, has a 30% chance of inflicting a critical hit. Now I understand, right, that if you have this extra 30% chance, you don't need to, you know, maybe gear out his crit rate as much. But I feel like this, for a legendary, this should be a sub stat. Like this should be something that on top of something else on his A1, right? So his A1 is super weak. I feel like a rare will have this A1. So this is why I don't really like him. And his A2 attacks one enemy 3 times. Okay, that's not bad. Once again, you get a 30% chance of inflicting a critical hit. Okay, whatever. And 50% chance of ignoring defense. Still, his A2 is still, for me, is just single target 3 times. Yes, ignores defense, but there's other champions that could hit way harder, right? Like Mountain King would outdo this dude any day. So for a legendary, this guy is falling really short. That's already 2 of his abilities. Now, his third ability, steals all divas from target enemy, then attacks target, has another 30% chance of inflicting critical hit. So like, I get his point. He's supposed to hit hard, he's supposed to steal buffs, I get it, but really though, where can you use him? Can't use him in Fire Knight, maybe in Dragons, maybe clear some content, but absolutely not in Clan Boss. Overall, this dude for a legendary has probably one of the worst kits. Well, he's number 3, so I can't say he has the worst kit, but really, what can you really do with this dude as a legendary? There's epics and, well, not rares, but there's epics that outperform this guy any day. So that's why he's number 3.
Perfect.
All right, so coming in at number 2 is Astralis, because this champion honestly has a lot of potential. I could see her being a high damage dealing champion, and she is a legendary, so she should be doing something good, right? But her kit just falls short. She's hard to build around. She doesn't synergize well with a lot of team comps and champions in the game, so she's close to being garbage. But let's check her out. So her A1 attacks one enemy, and this fills the turn meter of a random ally by 50%, and if it's critical, it'll further fill 15% of all allies, right? So her A1 could be pretty good, right? But it doesn't really synergize well with her kit, and you'll see why here shortly. Well, it kind of does, but it doesn't really help her kit too much, right? So let's check it out. Once she's done taking hits, okay, so her A2 attacks one enemy, places 2 bombs debuffs that detonate after 1 turn. So already her A1 attacks 1 time, her A2 attacks 1 time, which is okay. But here's the thing, man, is that if you want to use her for Fire Knight or Magic Keep or Clan Boss, having A1s and A2 that only attacks 1 time is really not that helpful. So like I said, I could see how she was meant to be designed. She's supposed to attack 1 time, place bombs, high damage, get a lot of turn by her A1 with her turn meter manipulation, and combining that with her A3, which exchanges remaining HP levels with a target enemy, then attacks with her A1. This cannot be used on bosses, which makes sense because you could pretty much 2-shot the boss if this works on bosses. But you see her passive effect gains an extra turn and decrease the cooldown of this skill by 3 turns if the champion drops below 20% when attacked. So overall, her kit is supposed to produce a very fast champion that attacks a whole bunch, right? And all her damage is supposed to come from her A2. But in that's all in theory. In practice, it does not work that way, and she just falls really short. So, I mean, I could see the potential, and I could see what they really wanted to do with this champion, but overall, man, like, to make that work takes too much effort, and it's really not worth it, right? So, this champion is definitely number 2, but there's another champion out there that is worse than this champion. So let's check that person out.
Perfect.
Yep, you guys guessed it. It is the number 1 boat keeper in the game. The nightmare of lightnings, your boy right here. This guy, I swear, man, like, I don't know what they're thinking. And yes, I know he's about to get buffed, and he might potentially be the new Dracomorph, where Dracomorph used to be okay, and now he's like a god tier, right? So hopefully it's the case for him, because this guy right here must have been a prototype of a legendary champion, and they realized, okay, we got to do better, because I don't know what they were thinking. But look at this. The A1 attacks one enemy, heals his champion by 30% of damage inflicted. Like, who cares? Just throw some lifesteal on and boom, right? Like, you know, like, that's not everyone has the ability to heal, and it only attacks one enemy. I hate abilities that only attack one enemy and doesn't do much. It just takes away so much value from these champions. Now you look at his A2, okay, places 30% increased speed, 30% increased crit rate, and grants an extra turn for the champion. Okay, so kinda okay. You can see speed and attacks again. So I guess he's supposed to attack, get speed, heal himself, right? So he's supposed to sustain himself. That's his whole thing. But the thing about these champions that have these niche kits, that it doesn't help the team composition. So that's why they kind of fall off and they're not that useful, and they just kind of suck, and they don't really help you push forward in content. So that's why I hate abilities that attack one time or have this selfish extra turn, but okay, cool, he still only attacks one time, one enemy. And looking at his A3, once again, attacks one enemy, places 100% heal reduction debuff for 2 turns, inflicts 50% more damage against targets under buffs. So he's supposed to do a little bit more damage, but once again, you know, maybe you could use him for Fire Knight, right? Get him to Fire Knight, put that heal reduction on. Oops, he died. But then again, you got Cold Heart. So anyways, this champion should die. He sucks. Hopefully, you know, they'll make him better. But yeah, definitely for now, I don't know when this patch is coming out, but for now, this champion is straight garbage. Trash can. Okay, so let's wrap this video up. So you can see these are my top 5 legendary champions that I just can't really find a solid reason to waste resources on them. They're not super bad, and I feel like they were designed to be niche champions that provided like a special case scenario, but for some reason their kit fell off. They're not that good, and hopefully some of these champions will get buffed. Now I know Mushalad will get buffed, and he's probably going to be a super good champion. I'm really excited for that. But for the rest of these guys, man, they just need a little bit more power, man. They just need something. Their kit is just not that good. So hopefully this video was enjoyable for you. I hope you kind of got some insight on these champions, and yeah, hope you guys are being safe out there. Hope you guys are taking care, and let's pray these champions do get buffed, because I can see potential. They just need a little bit more help, right? So do you agree? Do you think these champions are good and I'm tripping? I mean, you know, let me know. But regardless, stay safe, take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Disclaimer: the views and opinions in this videos are mine alone. You may or may not agree.